Hi everyone and welcome, my name is Dora and this is update 8 to my Pan That palette of 2025. I've been working on the Berry M Black Cherry palette this year. There are 9 pans in this palette and I feel like I'm making really decent progress. I'm super excited about today's update because I've got the most amount of uses in between updates. I will also be talking about my BYOP, so my Build Your Own palette. I'll be completely refreshing that and I'll even be refreshing the palette itself. So I'll be upgrading it to a bigger one, you'll see. And then also a quick check-in to my Pan That palette leftovers. Let's kick off with my Berry M Black Cherry. So Pan That palette was created by Amber F, who's linked down below in the description box. And here's the palette. I'm now going to run the slideshow so you can see what this palette has been looking like throughout this whole year up until my most recent update. And here's my palette today. Lots of changes there. Okay, I'm gonna go through the obvious changes first of all. So it looks like I've got another empty here. I don't. I just decided to franken what was left of cherry tart with Bakewell. I noticed that I was using these two shadows, both matte shadows, at the same time the whole time to just create the perfect neutral matte shadow as a base for most of my summer outfits. Really, it just worked really well and I managed to re-hit pan in the shadow. Super glad about that. I also repressed Juiced here, mainly because I went away on holiday and I thought instead of bringing another powder blush with me, you know, I want to make decent progress on this palette, so why not repress it? Therefore I'll have a larger surface area to work with. And I used it as a blush. Sometimes I even mixed it with Wild and or Glacé and it worked really quite well. I would say though with the shimmers, I found them a little bit too chunky for my liking, but you know, you're away, you make it work. And I want to finish this palette so badly before the end of the year. So I think those are the most obvious changes, but let's go through every shadow one by one. Oh no, hang on. I'll first talk you through my goals. I set 3 goals at my last update. First of all, I wanted to re-hit pan in both Cherry Tart and Wild. I'm gonna try and throw up a picture so you can see that because obviously, you know, yeah, massive pan on Wild, you can see that. But Cherry Tart did have pan before I put it into Bakewell, so I hit that goal. My next goal was to have a focus shadow and for that to be Wild. And I think, you know, I didn't have a goal like, oh, I must finish it, but I feel like it's definitely visible that Wild has been a focus shadow. And you'll see that reflected in the numbers as well. And my third goal was to use every single shadow at least once all over the lid as like the main lid shadow. I almost managed to do that, even with Cherry Tart before it was done. And today I've got Poison all over my lid, although I did top it with Glacé and then Ultraviolet from the Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde as a topper shadow. But the one shadow I didn't do an all over the lid look with is Bitter, but I do forgive myself because you'll see again the uses and the side-by-side close-ups. I think I've got decent progress on here, so I'm going to let myself off. I'm going to go through the uses one by one now, and then total amount of uses this month and also weight difference. And then I'll set a couple more goals for next month. So Ripen was already done last time. Glacé I have used 37 times for a total of 220 uses now. More than ever, I'm now starting to multitask this shadow. This was pretty much exclusively my inner corner highlight shadow, but I'm now, you know, like today, putting it all over my lid, using it with a blush highlighter, highlighting blush combo. I'm not holding back on this shadow anymore, so hence, yeah, 220 uses though, and it's still around, but yeah, we'll see what I can do for next time and the month after. Cherry Tart, before I frankened it, I used it 11 times for a total of 96 uses. Bakewell, now it's franken, it's gained some shadow there, but I used it 25 times since my previous update. Some of those uses are on its own, some are franken. I don't know when I frankened it, but so be it. 100 uses in total. Sour, I also finished last time. Wild, I've got 25 uses on here. This is by far my most amount of uses in between updates. The highest amount of uses was 5 uses. Twice I did that in previous updates, and that was it. And then like 2, 4, 3. I don't know why I went in that order, but yeah. It's because I'm looking at my piece of paper here. Okay, 48 uses in total. So more than half of those uses have come from this last month. Yay. Juiced over here, I've used 11 times and I've got a total of 62 uses. Bitter, I have used 27 times for a total of 66 uses. Again, this was my highest amount of uses in between updates. Last month I had 13 uses, and before that it was like the highest was 7 or 8. So I'm definitely, you know, working my way through this shadow here. I think the pan expansion is so satisfying on here, and I'm using this as an outer corner shadow in most looks, hence the large number. Poison, I've got 8 uses on here, so 7 times that would have been in the outer corner and that 1 time today all over my lids. And that's a total of 77 uses. I'm just so excited to keep using this palette, and yeah, I want to get it done. So obviously my uses are increasing. Let's look at the weight very quickly as well. This now weighs 86.00 grams, and that's a difference of 1.50 grams compared to last update. And I've used 8.37 grams in total since the intro of this project. I'm getting there. I'm still not bored of it. Yeah, I mean, for a moment I did think, oh, I shouldn't have frankened the 2 because pan really took quite a while. I only hit that the other day. Yeah, but yeah, I think I'm gonna try and remember that, but sometimes I just get so into frankening and repressing that I'm like, oh, let's just do it, you know. But yeah, sometimes I should try and remember to approach frankening this palette with caution, because I just don't want to make it harder for myself, obviously. Okay, in terms of goals, I would like to re-hit pan in Juiced. I think that's a really obvious goal. And then my second goal is going to be to focus on both Wild and Glacé. Maybe I can finish them. I don't want to set finishing either or both of them as a goal necessarily, just as focus shadows, and then hopefully I'll get to surprise you at the next update with at least 1 more empty. I think that'd be really fun, but yeah, just, you know, taking it a little bit, not easy because I'm still trying to push myself, but I just don't want to put pressure on myself with goals. Rather, I want to keep the momentum going of being motivated to use this palette. I don't quite want to set that goal again of using every single shadow as a lid shade. I think that was, yeah, you know, quite tricky. I had that bottom row for ages, and then I thought, okay, let me do Juiced, because I was noticing a little bit of hard pan there when I used it as a blush. And then yeah, with Bitter I just couldn't be bothered anymore, and then with Poison I only did it today because I wouldn't have done this look had it not been for that goal. So I don't really want to do that right now. I think, yeah, let's focus on hitting that last pan, maybe finishing the shimmers, and then we'll see what happens next month in terms of goals for the following month. Let's talk about my BYOP next. So this is a project that was created by Jessica Lee and Dana. I've linked them down below as well. And I've got 5 shadows in here. You can see here what it looked like last month. So basically those 2 larger pans that you're seeing at the top there. The pink one is a repressed Kiko shadow that I'm using as a blush topper mainly. Here and there I'm using it as an eyeshadow topper as well. And then the larger pan is a Franken bronzer, a Sisley, and Bare Minerals bronzer. And those are the only 2 products that I've had in this BYOP since the intro. And then those 3 shadows on the bottom row are Franken shadows. And what I do at these updates, I switch them out because I would just like to test them out and then decide whether I would like to hold on to them or re-franken them, or maybe possibly even chuck them all together. I'm going to kick off with the Kiko repress. There's really not a lot to see here. I've only used it 9 times since my last update. That's quite a low number. I was away for a couple of weeks and I did not take this BYOP with me. But still, I've got a total of 113 uses in this product, and that's just 29 uses since I repressed it. It had a massive pan in there before, but it was a much smaller pan, and I thought, let's just use this spare one here because I've got a much larger surface area. And I have used 0.06 grams worth of product since my last update. On the Bare Minerals and Sizzly Franken, I have got 14 uses, and that's a total of 120 uses. I really have decent progress here. I mean, I don't know in terms of, you know, I'm looking at it more as a whole, less so from update to update. It's a bit hard to see, but I have used up 0.05 grams since my last update, so a little bit less than the Kiko, even though I had more uses on here. And that's a total of 0.79 grams since the intro. Let's chat about the 3 Franken shadows so I can give you my verdict and let you know how many times I tried them out. So first up is a purple Franken, quite a new Franken, and I've got a backup of this. I had created so much of that Franken mixture that I distributed it across 2 pans. And yeah, this one went in, and I can tell you that I absolutely love this. I'm gonna give you a little swatch of it. I've used this 5 times since my last update, which is a lot considering that I often only use these shadows once in order to decide. Next is this bronzy type of Franken, and I also really like this one, even though I only used it once. But yeah, swatching it out as well, it's a really lovely type of neutral brown shimmer. I enjoy those, and it's got a great formula on there, so I'm holding on to it. And then finally I've got this like gunmetal-y type of blue shimmer, great for the outer corner. I used it once as well, and it's got a purple shimmer in there, purple reflex. I quite like it, so I'm holding on to all 3 of them. Before I show you my completely new BYOP, I would like to talk to you about my Pan That Palette leftovers. So this is my Makeup Revolution Kombucha Kiss palette, and it looks very different. Let me show you. Can't say it's done, but it is empty. Okay, what happened here? I decided to go ahead and take out the shadows that I still like. There were 3 in total that I took out. 2 of them I frankened. I'll show them to you in a moment. And then there was another Franken shadow which works quite well on my brows. I'm actually wearing that today, which I also took out. The more reddish leaning shadows, I just decided to discard them. There's like, I created like one fun, I was frankening so much, and there was quite a lot of shadow there, so I decided to make like one crazy Franken shadow as well, which I'm going to show you, which includes the rest of the Kombucha Kiss palette. But still, there was a lot of crushed up pigment that I ended up throwing out, and now I'm ready to recycle this. It looks a bit funny because yeah, this one just came out by itself. A very old palette. This was my Pan That palette for 2 years, and that's why I don't feel bad about chucking out shadows. You know, I've really given it my all for 2 years. So yeah, this one, it just popped out. These are not magnetic pans. So I thought, oh, hang on, but there's, you know, little magnets here. So I took those out and then glued them on to the, super glued them onto the bottom of this one pan, and another non-magnetic pan from a different Revolution palette that I ended up depotting mostly. Yeah, so I don't know how that's all working out. I'm gonna have to figure it out because it's a bit wobbly. It's a very small magnet for a large pan surface, so as soon as you were to dip your brush into it, it would just tilt. So I'm not sure how practical that really was. So I've put these 2 remaining Kombucha Kiss shadows, Frankens from the Kombucha Kiss, into this new BYOP here. And there are a lot of shadows in here, as well as the complexion products that I already talked to you about. So here's my new BYOP. I am so excited about this. I just love how this looks. I'm excited to play around with this. I think what I haven't got in here anymore, I can find in my BYOP now. So I think they will complement each other quite nicely. I can see those teals working quite well with the pink as well. Lots of stuff to play around with. But yeah, let me go through what is going on here. And yeah, obviously you recognize these two because I just showed them to you. I still want to show you what's left of the Kombucha Kiss. So here's the brow shadow. So this is the matte where I took heat and charcoal from the Kombucha Kiss and frankened them together quite messily. And now I've cleaned that up a little bit more, so it's much more of a smoother, a no longer marbled effect texture going on in here. And this is what's left of the Kombucha Kiss. And then I frankened those other two brown shimmers into this one here. I'm going to give you swatches as well. So that's what's left of those. Over here, I've got two Natasha Denona shadows. They come from the Ayana palette. And yeah, I think they're great. Like, this is a great dark brown. And then I've got a shimmer, again, a neutral one. I think they complement these two and the rest of everything else that I've got going on. They're similar, but not the same. These two green ones are from the Revolution Chilled palette, which I ended up depotting. I didn't depot all of it, but most of it. And they're here. And then these two come from another Revolution palette from the Jewel Glow, which I depotted as well. What was left of it, there were only 8 shadows left in that palette at that point. So I've got this blinding silver, which I love it so much. Look at that. And then this cool toned leaning creased type of shadow. Really nice. Yeah, now the cherry tart is gone because I frankened it here, you know. I kind of, sometimes I need a cool neutral to calm things down a little bit when I've gone a little bit too warm with my look. And then here, this bottom row, so these 5 shadows that you're seeing here, these are all shadows that I have previously said I love them from these BYOP switch outs. I would like to hold on to them. So here's the dupe for the, not the dupe, it's the actual same shadow that I just rolled out, but the other one. So that I already popped in there, and then these 4 others too. And then these 5 here are now my new franken shadows for this update that I would just like to try out to see, do I like them or not? So this center one, this is the one that I was telling you about that houses some of the remaining more reddish leaning Kombucha Kiss shadows, and as well as, you know, other shadows that I discarded at the end of my repress and frankening session. So yeah, it's got a soft buttery texture. It's quite warm leaning. Yeah, it does look a little bit different in the pan, doesn't it? Depending on how the light hits it. But yeah, quite a warm leaning shadow. No surprise there. So that's here. I'm now going to swatch these 2 out. So I've got a darker sort of purpley one and another neutral, more brown reddish leaning even. So there's, yeah, these 2. This one, again, already, I know, amazing texture. I don't think this is gonna go anywhere. Excited to try it out. And then I've got this sort of, let's call it like a vintage type of gold green. And this is, I think this isn't a franken, but a repress from the Revolution Astrological palette that I did ages ago. The one matte that I held on to. And here are those swatched out. So yeah, ignoring the top 3, which was from last month, I've now increased my shadows that I would definitely like to try out to 5. I'm definitely going to make some switches here whenever I feel like it. But yeah, the focus is on these 5 here, just to try them out and then make a decision next time. And then of course to keep going with these 2 complexion products and maybe use the Kiko a little bit more on my eyes again as well. And then the rest is just there to inspire me and for me to just have fun with. And yeah, I'm so happy I finally got like a nice looking bigger BYOP as well. I was getting a little bit bored, I think, of this type of format. Thank you so much for watching. I'm so excited to keep going, to play with my new BYOP, to keep updating you on how I'm doing with my Kombucha Kiss shadows, those 2 last remaining ones, and of course to make a ton of progress, hopefully, fingers crossed, on my Berry and Black Cherry palette as well. Thanks again for watching all the way until the end. I really appreciate you. I hope you'll subscribe if you haven't done so already. And other than that, I hope you have a lovely rest of your day or night, wherever you are. And I'm sending you so much love. Take care. Bye.